If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
BTW FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an adjustable implant, 68 milligrams radiopaque. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay, TTYL.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, well, it is almost election day, and the races could not be more high stakes, and in many cases, neck and neck. New Jersey, some of the new polls that are coming out literally are putting them within tie or a percentage point with Jack Ciattarelli and Mikey Sherrill that is for the New Jersey governor's race. That is a biggie. Can Jack Ciattarelli turn that state red? And then, of course, in Virginia, there's Winsome Sears, who is going after Abigail Spanberger. That race not as close as New Jersey. But Winsome Sears, a very impressive individual, Marine Corps, current lieutenant governor under Glenn Youngkin. That race is obviously a big one, too, as well. Many issues on the table there. Boys and girls bathrooms and in girls sports and a whole bunch of other things that are definitely on the line. And then you got that crazy guy, Jay Jones, who is running there for attorney general against Jason Miyares, who's the sitting AG of Virginia. And in that particular case, he's the guy who came out and said that he wanted to put a bullet to the head of the former House Speaker, a Republican, and also the kids of the House Speaker. He's still on the ballot, Jay Jones. And Abigail Spanberger is like embracing him because she doesn't know what to do with him. And meanwhile, you got Obama, who was out campaigning on Mikey Sherrill's behalf. She also was coddling Zohran Mamdani early on in New Jersey. So there are so many issues there. He was also in Virginia trying to help Abigail Spanberger. And of all things, he said, the White House is lawless. I'm thinking, the White House is lawless. You're at a rally where that Jay Jones guy, who in text messages wanted to kill his rival House Speaker there, and you're talking about the White House being lawless. These people need new messaging, and it just shows how desperate they are that Obama is out there trying to do what he can to help the Democrats in the final throes. They know a lot is on the line. So big news can happen. We're going to be covering it all, of course, tomorrow night here on the Rita Cosby Show. And indeed, the big race, of course, New York City Mayor as well. That is a huge one. And President Trump just weighing in a little bit ago with a post on Truth Social saying, whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him. President Trump says, and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not. So President Trump, the head of the Republican Party, coming out resoundingly tonight saying, I am urging you, everybody in New York, Republican, Democrat, Independents, everybody come out and vote for Andrew Cuomo because way too much is on the line and we must beat Zohran Mamdani, who would absolutely destroy New York. Again, also new polls showing, there was one over the weekend that showed that Cuomo with his about 6 percentage points, which was nothing with him and Mamdani. In other words, he clearly is gaining and closing the gap between he and Mamdani. And then one just a few hours ago, an Atlas Intel one. And that one has been pretty accurate on some of the other races in the past. They were very accurate, especially when it came to President Trump and the last election. And they are now putting Mamdani with 43.9% and Cuomo in second, very close, just 4 points away at 39.4%. That is the closest we have seen these two men. And that means that Cuomo is in striking distance to beat Mamdani, who is a diehard Democrat socialist. Everybody, you must get out and vote. I have said this. This Mamdani guy is a clear and present danger, not just to New York, but to America. Listen to President Trump urging New Yorkers of all political parties to vote for Governor Cuomo, saying you really have no choice whatsoever. And here is Andrew Cuomo. We spoke with him earlier today on Katz and Cosby, and this is what he had to say about the very unremarkable, unqualified Zohran Mamdani, who has no professional experience whatsoever that would put him in the position to be the mayor of New York. And let's hope he does not win tomorrow night. Here's Andrew Cuomo.
Forget it. I never heard of him when I was there. I never heard of him. He was a non-entity as an assemblyman. But guys, it's what you were saying before. He is just the banner carrier. He's not going to be a mayor. He is just the banner carrier for the socialists. And they're going to run the show. This is the socialists who will have won. The DSA will have won. He's just the smiling face that they put up. They're going to run the show.
And that's the scary thing, because the Democratic Socialists of America, they're the ones who believe clearly in the defund the police, the open up the jail cells. And Linda Sarsour, who is known as sort of the mentor, if you will, of Zohran Mamdani, anti-Semitic activist, so bad her anti-Semitic and anti-gay view, she was kicked out of a women's march. She is known as, indeed, the mentor to Zohran Mamdani. And she came out today with a statement saying that he's going to owe us, that if he gets to the mayor's office, we're going to be there right with him, and that he will be beholden to the Democratic Socialists of America, and he will do what they say. If that doesn't send chills down your spine and convince you to vote for Andrew Cuomo to block Zohran Mamdani, because clearly Cuomo is handily narrowing the gap and closing in on Zohran Mamdani, I don't know what will convince you. If you're going to have these Democratic Socialists running the mayor's office of New York, you have surrendered the city. And here is Andrew Cuomo talking about how he is right there. The new polls are showing that he could potentially beat Mamdani.
Everyone knows the score. The race, they did a poll this afternoon. I was 4 points down in a three-way with Sliwa. One-on-one, I beat Mamdani. One-on-one, I beat him. So one-on-one, I beat him by about 6-8 points. But, of course, there's not going to be a one-on-one. With Sliwa, I'm down by about 4 points. Sliwa has about 13, 14 points. Those 13, 14 points are electing Mamdani. They're Republicans who are electing Mamdani. And please don't do it tomorrow.
Too much is at stake. And here's a little bit more from Andrew Cuomo. We spoke with him earlier, and he said that President Trump is spot on with his message about Curtis Sliwa. Take a listen to what he said.
The president is right. A vote for Sliwa is a vote for Mamdani. And that's why this election is now up to the Republicans. Sliwa cannot win. He is a spoiler. We've said it all along. It's all about him. And he put himself, in my opinion, ahead of the Republican Party and ahead of the city of New York. And now it's going to be up to the Republicans. And I hope they listen to the president.
Yeah, I hope that everybody is understanding what is at stake. And if you vote for someone who cannot beat Mamdani, it is a waste. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Norm in Brooklyn on line 5. Go ahead, Norm.
Hi, Rita. Yes, I will be working the polls somewhere on the Upper West Side tomorrow. I don't know. I think around 100th Street. Anyway, I will be working them 5 to possibly closing. Maybe, I don't know. If I'm still hanging around, I might call you from the area.
Oh, but you anyway, got to, by the way, not if. You got to call Norm. It would not be a good night if you don't call in.
You'll hear from me.
Good.
But I'm imploring all the Republicans, all the conservatives out there, listen to your president, please. Will you listen to Donald Trump? He threw your heart and your soul behind him. Stop playing games, okay? And for the ones who even used to call your station, some of them, and now, I don't know, they're infuriated with WABC for whatever stupid reason. You know, basically, don't be like a follower of Jim Jones in Guyana Town back there, you know, drinking the Kool-Aid and going down, and going down in in suicide, essentially, in voting suicide. So, get out there, try to improve your city, hold your nose, and vote for the only viable candidate that's out there.
Well, and the reality is, Norm, as we talked about, New York City, as we all know, and you know, obviously, it is so overwhelmingly a Democratic community. I mean, it is 6-1 Democrats. And if you look at the polls, it's clearly leaning that way and then some. And based on that, you have to be strategic. This is not a normal election. And I keep saying that. If it's a normal election, everybody deserves to be in it. And everybody, by the way, and many people out there listening, and all of you know this, I have probably been one of the last ones to come around and make this statement. And that's because I always believe in giving everybody a fair chance. And I also wanted to see what was going to happen in the debates, especially the first one. I thought, let's see, maybe there'll be some knockout punch that would change the dynamics of the race that could either propel, Cuomo very, very high suddenly and drop down Mamdani. Sometimes these debates have these moments, or Curtis has a knockout punch to Mamdani. That didn't happen. He went after Cuomo. And there wasn't really any change whatsoever in the first one. And then in the second one, I thought Cuomo handily won that second debate. He took a lot of incoming, but he really went on the offense on Mamdani. And Curtis didn't really go on the offense on Mamdani. And I think that was a missed opportunity. He should have gone much harder on Mamdani and less focus on Cuomo. Then he would have done, the city and himself a great service, and it could have changed the dynamics. But we are where we are, and this guy is such a major, major threat. I'm talking about Mamdani to New York. I mean, the more I see his policies and the more things, this guy is a wolf in sheep's clothing. And I shouldn't even say he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, because he's not really hiding it. He's pretty much telegraphing it. He's afraid to say, no, I condemn globalize the Intifada. No, I do think Israel should be a Jewish state. He won't do that, because this man is a true believer. And if you want to invite somebody who I believe is a terrorist sympathizer and you allow them to be mayor of the biggest city in America, shame on you guys. You got to get out there and vote. You have an opportunity to change history because it could be catastrophic if you don't. So I'm really imploring people to get out there and vote, especially now that I'm seeing these new numbers, Norm. And the new numbers, as I just read, this Atlas Intel survey, which just came out a few hours ago, has Mamdani just 4 points ahead of Cuomo. So Cuomo is in striking distance. It'd be different if it was inconceivable. But there are polls out there, and there's a couple of them now that are showing him within striking distance. So every vote matters. And you can't throw away your vote and vote for someone who ain't going to win. That's the bottom line, right, Norm?
Right. I just wanted to tell you, yesterday there was the Zohran people were set up next to me and my friend on the street. I'm wearing my Cuomo stickers and handing literature out. And one of the old hippies at the Zohran table says to his friend at the table, "Hey, man, we don't have to do anything. Did you see Curtis knocking Cuomo?" And they were just laughing. So they're laughing. The Zohran people are laughing at the Sliwa people because Curtis is doing the job for them.
Well, that's the problem, Norm. That if Curtis was focused on Mamdani wholeheartedly, who clearly is the biggest threat right now, blaring biggest threat, then that would be a great service. But that isn't the case. And during the debates, he seems to be much more focused on Cuomo. and giving Mamdani a free pass in some cases. I mean, some people have said to me, is he want to work with Mamdani? That to me is frightening. That's a frightening prospect. But he seems to be not going as hard on Mamdani, and the Mamdani people, sadly, they're loving the fact that Curtis is in the race because they know it splits the vote. And they like that he's splitting the vote, which helps Mamdani 1,000%. And Curtis dropped out based on this new poll. It looks like Andrew Cuomo handily would win, according to this poll. Every poll is different. You don't know if you can believe all the polls. But this poll and other polls have shown that if it's a one-on-one, Cuomo could potentially beat Mamdani. And in this one, pretty decently beat him. And then the other thing is they're watching Curtis beat up on Cuomo. He's beating up on Cuomo, and so Mamdani doesn't even have to beat up on Cuomo because then Curtis is doing that work for him. But how is that helping the bigger picture of stopping Mamdani, who clearly is such an enormous, enormous threat to New York? When you have somebody who is a clear and present danger to the city, you got to do the right thing. That is the bottom line. And now there is a chance based on a number of polls that Cuomo could beat him. So that's why everybody does have to do the right thing and vote for the individual who could beat Zohran Mamdani. And if you see it in the polls, it is handily Andrew Cuomo. And in a number of these polls, more than double, by far more than double of Curtis Sliwa. So the key that many are saying, don't waste the vote. You got to save the city. That is the bigger picture. Egos aside, you got to save the city. That is the priority. And it's a shame that that Curtis didn't consolidate with Cuomo. That would have been such a powerful ticket, and I think it would have been unbeatable. But Curtis didn't want to do that, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. 1-800-848-9222. We'll continue your calls, everybody, after the break.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com. This National Foster Care Month, Marine Toys for Tots is providing hope to children who need it most. Staff Sergeant James Caldwell, who grew up in foster care himself, shares that while handing out gifts at a Toys for Tots distribution event, a little girl looked up at him, reached into her bag, pulled out a stuffed animal, and said, "Someone needs to make sure you get a toy too." That simple gesture embodies the heart of Marine Toys for Tots, ensuring every child, including those in foster care, experiences the kindness that can transform their future. Visit toysfortots.org today.
BTW FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an adjustable implant, 68 milligrams radio pair. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay, TTYL.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's continue with your calls. Let's go to Joaquin in Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Joaquin.
Good evening, Rita. Rita, I am going to reserve all my negative comments until after the election. I guess this stage of the game, I guess everybody should hold their nose or whatever and vote for Cuomo. If I had it, I would get sick to my stomach. But, I think people got to understand something. The Democratic Socialists really should be called the Democratic Islamic Socialists.
By the way, that's a great point. And they are so extreme. And there's some very dangerous people that are hanging around Zohran Mamdani that are saying they're going to be hanging out at Gracie Mansion if he gets elected.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Rita Cosby is on.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, in the New York City mayor's race, and this is the biggie, it looks like Andrew Cuomo clearly is in striking distance, according to some new polls that have come out in the last day or two, and one in the last few hours, showing that Mamdani only has a 4-point lead over Andrew Cuomo, and Curtis Sliwa remaining a distant third with less than half of Cuomo's votes. So splitting the vote there, that is the problem, of course. But there is a chance that Andrew Cuomo could overtake Mamdani, and that would mean it could be a very tight neck-and-neck race tomorrow. We'll see. You never know where the polls go. Of course, we've seen others that showed a much wider margin for Zohran Mamdani, the very much extreme. As Joaquin just called, he's not a Democratic Socialist. He's an Islamist. And there is no doubt that his philosophies, I believe, are extremely dangerous to New York and America. And that's why this is not a traditional election in any sense of the word. Polls open, by the way, in New York City at 6 a.m. We've talked about the other races going on around the country. In Virginia for the governor's race, that's a biggie. And some of the other ones there in Virginia, the polls close there at 7 p.m. local time. Then in New Jersey, the polls close at 8 p.m. tomorrow. And in New York, the polls close at 9 p.m. And we will have wall-to-wall coverage tomorrow night here on the Rita Cosby Show as results roll in. And if it is a tight race, there is a very good chance, potentially, that maybe Andrew Cuomo would win. The question is, will the numbers be correct? Is there a big lead for Zohran Mamdani or a very narrow lead? Or maybe is it potentially nowhere near what pollsters have believed? Often, results, as we've seen in a number of elections, often the polls are not right. So let's see where it goes. There has been a historic amount of people doing early voting. 1.3 million, by the way, in New Jersey. That's a lot. That's a huge amount. It's about 20% of eligible voters. And then in New York City, there has been over 735,000 have voted. That's about 14% of all registered voters in New York City. There's 5.3 million registered voters in New York City. Many people are wondering, will it hit to 1.7, 1.8, maybe even as high as 2 million? That would be an enormous amount. And the bigger the number, the greater the potential that somebody will beat Zohran Mamdani. Clearly in the polls, Cuomo is the person to do it. If you look at the numbers and if you listen to President Trump, he is telling everybody, he is telling Republicans, everybody in New York, get out and vote for Cuomo because New York City is at stake. And clearly he is the one who can beat Zohran Mamdani. He's saying, do not waste your vote. He says, for Curtis Sliwa. That is the same message that we're hearing from Elon Musk. If you're in New York, he is saying, do not waste your vote. Do it to block Mamdani because he is clearly an existential threat to New York. And clearly Cuomo is the person within striking distance, according to a number of these new polls. And the stakes couldn't be higher if you look at this woman, Linda Sarsour. She is someone who is viewed as the mentor for Zohran Mamdani, Democratic Socialist, an extreme anti-Semite, someone who was kicked out of a women's march because of her anti-Semitic, anti-gay views, and a very controversial Islamic extremist. And she sent out a chilling message today saying, we'll be with Zohran. We will hold him accountable because the reason he's elected, she said, is because of the Democratic Socialists of America. So if he were to win tomorrow night and get into the mayor's office, the Democratic Socialists of America are going to be there right with him at Gracie Mansion. And we're going to make sure that he fulfills our wishes. Does that sound like somebody who has his own mind? It sounds like someone who is totally being controlled by the Democratic Socialists. And again, this is the defund the police, open up the jail cell crowd, and the crowd that blasts Israel every chance they can, and NYPD, as has Zohran Mamdani. He called them racist. He called them anti-queer. And he still hasn't really apologized. It was such a half apology. And he's still saying he's going to send social workers versus police. So not only is this guy a true believer, he is downright dangerous for New York and for any city in America. Here's Linda Sansor talking earlier today. And boy, she sounds like the Democratic Socialists have Zohran Mamdani in their pocket.
I don't have a problem with holding people accountable. So voting for Zohran is not, we're going to vote for Zohran and just let him do whatever the hell he wants when he gets to City Hall. Our job as a movement is we have to hold whoever goes to City Hall accountable. You know, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't really happy about the news that he was going to keep Tish on for the NYPD. So I'll just say that point blank. And what's most important is that in New York City, the police commissioner works for the mayor. They are not a separate elected official. So that means if Zohran says to Tish, you got to do A, B, C, Tish got to do what the mayor says. So I'm basically saying to myself, if Zohran's going to be the mayor of New York City and he's going to shut down the strategic response group, the SRG, which is what Zohran has committed to. So if Zohran tells Tish, we're shutting down the, SRG, we're going to do certain things in a certain way, that means that Tish has to execute the vision of the mayor. Now, if she doesn't do that and goes against the mayor, then that's when we're going to have to go to Zohran and be like, you definitely made the wrong decision here. What are you going to do to hold your police commissioner accountable to the plan? If he dismantles SRG and he basically orders Tish to do that, she has to do it. So it doesn't matter technically who the police commissioner is, so as long as they are listening to what the mayor says. So the police commissioner works for the mayor. So whether it's Tish, whether it's so and so XYZ person that he brings in, they would have to listen to what Zohran says. Zohran is going to have to tell his own critics that are on the other side to basically say, look out that window. Those people outside, these constituents that are outside, these activists, these organizers that are outside, I'm accountable to them because they're the ones that helped me get there.
Really beautiful. I'm accountable to them. I have to listen to them. Extreme activists, Islamists, I believe a number of these folks have terrorist sympathies, and that's who he's going to be accountable to. And they're going to hold him accountable. Well, and he may clearly want to go with them because he's a true believer. I don't think he's going to be fighting it. And any police commissioner under him should resign. Who would ever want to work for this man when he has come out and blasted the NYPD and blasted policies that would keep New York City safe? This man makes Bill de Blasio look like tough on crime. Bill de Blasio, I never questioned his support of America. And this guy, some of his policies are so downright dangerous. Some of his alliances are so downright dangerous. We are heading into a really dark chapter. But yet there is still time, guys. Voting starts tomorrow. The early voting's done. But Election Day is when all the votes come in. And a lot of people are wondering if they'll see 1 million people potentially come out tomorrow to vote on Election Day. I'm imploring everybody who lives in New York, get out and vote like the future of the city depends on it. Listen to President Trump, who is saying a vote for Cuomo is the only way to go, and that he is the only person who can beat Zohran Mamdani. Elon Musk also sending out the same message. Meantime, in New Jersey, the acting U.S. attorney there, Alina Habba, is warning of FBI probes into New Jersey elections if there's any funny business there. Listen to what she just put out.
The U.S. Attorney's Office will coordinate with our partners at the FBI to respond to complaints related to the upcoming general election. This office will investigate and prosecute any criminal activity related to the election process, including intimidating or bribing voters, buying and selling voters, impersonating voters, altering voting ballots and tallies, stuffing ballot boxes, and marking ballots for voters against their wishes or without their input. And it will do so regardless of who commits those crimes and regardless of party or affiliation.
And let's go to your calls, guys. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Steve in Brooklyn, line 5. Go ahead, Steve.
Yes, hi, Rita. Talk about his ridiculous crime policies, there was an article in the Post on August 24th. Mr. Mamdani wants to abolish misdemeanors or simply not enforce them. Included are some of the following: forcible touching, second-degree sexual misconduct, DWI. Mr. Mamdani, can you imagine if a young woman or mothers with daughters, that they would allow someone to touch them and there would be no consequences for this behavior?
Well, that's just part of the deal. And also the whole, is legalized prostitution. Let's get rid of the misdemeanors. And then somebody who's a repeat offender. Don't worry, they don't need jail. Jail is not a good thing. That's what he says. He has said that jail just makes you feel better. No, jail doesn't just make you feel better. Jail locks up the bad people. That's the bottom line, right, Steve? I mean, this guy, right, like you just said, he seems so out of touch, so clueless.
How could women want to vote for this guy when he's going to allow forcible touching?
Well, he's not going to. Well, when he's not going to allow, when he's going to clamp down on that. To your point, I mean, right. I mean, it is
no deterrent.
It is shocking.
No deterrent.
Exactly, no deterrent. And no deterrent, even if somebody's been arrested multiple times, he thinks it's society's fault as opposed to the individual. And that creates a repeat offender revolving door. And that is so, so dangerous. Stephen, that's a great point. I can't understand why anybody would vote for this guy. If they love New York City and they care about a safe city, as President Trump does, and obviously Elon Musk, and obviously so many of you, vote like your life depends on it. Stephen, did you vote already?
There's another point I want to bring up.
Wait, Stephen, my question to you, did you vote or not yet?
I'm going to vote tomorrow very, very early.
And who are you going to vote for? Can you tell me?
Cuomo. Who else?
Yeah, you got to beat Mamdani. That is the bottom line, 100%. Let's go to Pete in Staten Island, line 4. Go ahead, Pete.
Hi, Rita. You broke the beautiful news to me. I was taking a little nap, and I woke up, and I hear that Cuomo is only 4 points behind.
Yeah, that's a new.
I heard he was like, that's beautiful.
That is beautiful. Let's pray, Pete. Let's pray, because this guy is such a danger, Mamdani, and he's got to be beaten. He has to be beaten at the polls tomorrow, and there is literally now less than 24 hours because polls close at 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. So everybody, Pete, you got to tell them to go out and vote tomorrow because truly the future of New York City depends on it. The more I hear about this guy, the more troubled and concerned I am that Zohran Mamdani and some of his very questionable individuals end up anywhere near Gracie Mansion. Good people of New York need to band together and say, no, no, no. We must fight, fight, fight. There is a few hours until the polls open, and you got to get everybody make sure they all went out and vote. We cannot have an extremist, a socialist in the mayor's office in New York. There is no way, no shape or form. Let's go to Saul in Brooklyn, line 1. Go ahead, Saul.
Hi, Rita. Thank you for having me tonight. This is game time, and you guys have a great platform, and I'm going to tell you guys something that you guys need to do tonight. Us as Republicans, we did our job, right? We got Trump to endorse Cuomo. We got Elon. We got Ina. We got you. We got Sid. We got Katz. What needs to happen, and there's still time tonight, the only way to beat Mamdani is turnout. You agree, right?
1,000%.
So we need to we didn't hear of one Democrat, not one moderate Democrat, endorse Cuomo. You still have time. The people who are going to make the difference are the people. One of the sectors is going to be the Bronx. You need to call out Richie Torres. You need to call out Dan Goldman. You need to call out Adrian Adams. You need to call out Chuck Schumer. Where's Robert De Niro? Where are all the moderate Democrats? You guys need to call them out one by one tonight. Tonight.
By the way, I don't know if I'd call Robert De Niro a moderate Democrat, but Saul, your point is a very good one. I think a number of them quietly are supporting Cuomo because Look at the case of Schumer. He has not come out and endorsed Mamdani. He seems like he's in a hostage video every time he's asked the question on whether you're going to support Mamdani or not. But he is not as of yet. So I do think you're right. I think all of those individuals have to hurry up and get out and encourage other people. Maybe the fact that they have not endorsed him, that alone hopefully speaks volumes to people, because you're right. New York is 6-1 Democrat. That is the bottom line. And if you have a choice, and people have a choice on this ballot, and clearly Cuomo is absolutely within striking distance. If these polls are correct, this could mean good news for New York. The last thing, you may not love Cuomo, you may not like Cuomo. And I say this to everybody, I probably did the toughest interview that anybody's done with Cuomo. But the bottom line is he can beat Mamdani, and he is 20,000 times better than Mamdani. And President Trump knows it, Elon Musk knows it, and I think our listeners, all of you, know that too. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. We'll continue your calls, everybody, after the break. But first, support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment with a powerful story from New York, where as Veterans Day approaches, everybody, LifeNet of New York honored veterans who continued their service to others through careers in helicopter emergency medical services, men and women veterans who saved lives from the skies. One of them was veteran pilot Ray Price. He's a former U.S. Army Ranger who served in the 3rd Ranger Battalion. And he said that the parallels between military service and air medical operations are very clear. He deployed, by the way, to Iraq from 2004 to 2005. It was part of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And also after his military service, he transitioned into emergency medical services, first as a paramedic and later as a flight medic. And bravo to him and so many others that continue to give back their active duty service. And everybody, help America to never, ever, ever forget. Donate $11 a month to the incredible Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Be sure to check them out at t2t.org, t2t.org.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And we are minutes away from Election Day, and this will be historic. Everybody get out and vote, especially in these key districts, key areas that we talked about, the key states, of course. You look at New Jersey, you look at Virginia. Those are pivotal races. And, of course, New York City, not only if you live in the city, but if you have friends or relatives, make sure you call them and say, get out and vote, because everything is on the line in New York City. We cannot have an extreme socialist, Islamist, Zohran Mamdani, in the mayor's office. And Cuomo is in striking distance to beat him. If you look at these new polls, he is right there, just a few points away, 4 percentage points, according to this latest poll. That means that is surmountable, that he could potentially, if there's massive turnout tomorrow on Election Day. Let's go to Rob in Long Island, line 1. Go ahead, Rob, your thoughts tonight.
Yeah, Rita, good evening. Love you. Love your show. You are absolutely fantastic. I just want to say real quickly that if the jihadist wins, Curtis Lewa will be persona non grata in New York City. He should have bowed out of the race. And, yeah, that's right. He's a jihadist. And let me give you the definition. Anyone who despises Western civilization, anyone who has nothing but contempt for America.
And by the way, I agree. A lot of the things Mamdani has said clearly, to me, are sympathetic to terrorists. They're very concerning. Rob, most importantly, everybody Vote tomorrow. Get out and vote. Tell everybody in New York City to vote. Let's beat Zohran Mamdani.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.